Welcome back to Mining Stock Daily. Ian Wagner here on Wednesday, May 6th with a corporate update from our friends at Scorpio Gold. Scorpio is a gold developer in Nevada, currently developing the Manhattan Gold District. They have previously published a maiden resource estimate of 740,000 ounces and are planning 50,000 meters of drilling in calendar 2026. They are listed on the TSX Venture under the symbol SGN. And we have covered the Scorpio story now for some time, so I would encourage listeners to go back and listen to previous episodes if they want to learn more. Zayn, CEO of Scorpio Gold, joins us today to talk about new drill results from Manhattan. Zayn, good to see you, and welcome back to the podcast.
Great. No, thanks. It's great to be back, Ian, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's jump right in. Since we spoke last at the early April, you guys have released a couple sets of drill holes, I think four holes total, but really yesterday, some headline numbers that I want you to kind of unpack. And, from the Zanzibar Trend has really become kind of a focus for you guys. Hole 67 comes in, really high grades. I know the headline is 10.4 grams per ton over 5.5 meters, including a 455 grams per ton over a half of a meter. Help us understand kind of what you guys found there and how to interpret the results.
Yeah, so Zanzibar Trend has kind of been an area that we recently unlocked beginning of this year. It's been a big focus for us. One of our drills exclusively focused on the trend. And ultimately, we believe that there is the potential for significant accretive additive ounces to the resource. And as you can see with the results that we've been putting out from a grade perspective, it's been very promising. Hole 67 by far is the most impressive hole we've had in the Zanzibar Trend area. There's five zones of highly economic material between 34 meters and 137 meters in the hole. The headline obviously being the 10.4 grams per ton over 5.67 meters. One thing I'd like to clarify there, because I know it was maybe a little unclear in the press release, and I've kind of got a couple comments on it, was including the high grade sample in there, the 455 gram per ton sample over nearly half a meter, was capped at 70 grams per ton. Yeah. So that's why you get a lower grade intercept. But if you did it without the capping, you didn't cap the 455 at 70 grams per ton, you get a 43.5 gram sample over 5.67 meters. So very high grade, but we're just being conservative. We want to make sure that everything we do is representative of the deposit, ultimately, and taking a conservative approach from a development standpoint is really key. So that's kind of why we capped it, and that's why we've capped every sample we've done at 70 grams per ton in all of the holes we put out over the last year and a half. But ultimately, very exciting hole. I think it definitely proves up the high-grade nature of the trend. And it's also given us a greater understanding of the trend itself. There's a growing belief that this potentially extends all the way out to the east to April Fool, which is the original. It's a target that we hold, and it's one of the original mining areas in Manhattan. We haven't done a lot of exploration out there. There hasn't been a lot of modern exploration, period, in the April Fool area. So it is becoming a growing target, and trying to fill in the gap between Mustang Hill and April Fools will be something that we work on here imminently. But at this point, continuing to put holes out on Zanzibar Trend, which we are continuing to do. To the north, our belief is that it extends through Gold Wedge out to the north to Black Mammoth as well, Northwest. And we have forthcoming holes on Black Mammoth coming too. So both Black Mammoth and Zanzibar Trend are very exciting areas. I think we're starting to hit our stride in terms of understanding structure and drilling. And I think all of these results have the potential to be very additive to the resource as we work towards that 2 million ounce target at the end of the year.
Yeah, thanks for the color around that. And obviously big numbers there. And you mentioned you're kind of a developing or expanding belief about the Zanzibar Trend and how it may connect to the other targets on the property. I wanted to ask you about something I asked you offline before we rolled, just because, remind me again, Zanzibar Trend is a splay off of the Reliance Trend, right? So which is your core resource envelope. And so everything you're finding in Zanzibar is outside of the current sort of pit shell for your resource, but there is a world in which that could be, optimized in the same pit, right? They're that close, right? Like help the audience kind of understand the geography there.
Yeah, so the existing pit shell effectively goes through the Reliance, laying back the west pit into the Gold Wedge underground. Um, the Zanzibar Trend just sits just as a splay right off that. So you'd basically make the pit you'd extend the pit out, you'd pull the pit out to the east, into the Zanzibar Trend just to make it larger. So it's right there. It's like within like 10, 20 meters. It's not something completely out of the realm, but it is a splay off the main structure and it's never been drilled. So it was never included in the historic resource. It was, and it wasn't an area of focus. There was a lot of historic mining there, a lot of historic workings along the road there, and it was never really focused on. But we were the first people to figure out how to drill it properly, and now that we have, we've kind of hit a consistent, we've hit a good flow there, and we're still drilling it pretty aggressively.
Yeah, you guys have been putting out a lot of results around that target. So assuming you still have the 3 drills on property, are you still doing one at Zanzibar, one at Black Mammoth, and then one within that core resource envelope?
Correct.
All right. And what else are you seeing there? What else are you guys working on there that we should know about?
Yeah, so Black Mammoth is there's forthcoming. Like there's going to be some holes that come out from Black Mammoth soon. We have a lot of holes in the lab still to come, all in that Zanzibar Trend, Gold Wedge Deep, and Black Mammoth. So we're just focused on adding ounces and keeping our head down and keeping on that same track.
Yeah, a lot of drilling at Zanzibar, obviously drilling at Black Mammoth, but you also put out a result from the gap zone, right? Kind of in between the Gold Wedge and Black Mammoth there. How are you drilling all these out, and what are you kind of seeing there within that gap zone? Because I want to say it was fairly high grade material from what you've drilled there over this drill campaign. Kind of add some color around that.
Yeah, so we did a fair amount of drilling last year in the gap zone. I think from our perspective, we've filled it in like we do. We've obviously confirmed mineralization, and it was a core focus for us. It's kind of that extension of building on the Reliance Trend and going right into Gold Wedge. And we obviously assume that mineralization does extend. We were able to confirm that. But there is some areas that we can fill in, just some tighter density, add some more blocks. And now that was the whole 65. Stepping to the east, Gold Wedge Deep, which is basically connecting what's now called the Zanzibar Trend out towards Black Mammoth, is another area for us, and that's what we've been working on as well. And you'll see a lot of forthcoming holes coming out of that zone here in the next couple weeks. And again, this is one of the highest grade parts of the resource. It's a big focus for us. If we can add ounces in these areas, it's very beneficial, I think, to our overall goals.
Okay. And so overall, I think you guys are sitting right around that 20,000, 21,000 meters, right, for this campaign. I want to say you've done about,
Yep, that sounds about right. 21,000. Yeah.
yeah, so you've done, I think, 76 drill holes today. This is your phase 2 diamond drilling, right? 3 rigs on site, 21,000 meters. So you're not quite halfway, but near it. How are you feeling overall, and kind of how are you thinking about the cadence of the rest of the year?
Yeah, I think overall we're feeling good. We just have to keep the momentum. The market has definitely been a little bit softer just with the geopolitical climate, but I think the bull case for gold is still very strong, and I think we've seen the market has shown a lot of resilience, especially in the more junior companies where historically you're not kind of seeing all these bear market trends. You are seeing resilience in companies' valuations and investor interest, but you're just not having the momentum that maybe we had 3-4 months ago. But ultimately, yeah, we're set up. We're going to keep pushing, and we're feeling very confident with the results that we've been putting out. And I think we're hopeful that we'll be able to continue that trend here throughout the rest of the year.
Yeah, we'll look to follow up for sure as news drill results come out. I wanted to follow up on something we talked about last time. You had mentioned a NASDAQ listing, a potential NASDAQ listing. Any update there, or any kind of color around timing?
Yep. Yeah, we have some things in the works. We're getting very close. We've been working on it for a couple months now, and we're getting close to the finish line here on it. And I think in the coming weeks, we should be able to share a lot more with the market about timing and where that's going to go.
Yeah, and open up a new investor base for you guys. Well, listen,
Yep.
well, Zayn, thanks so much for stopping by and giving us some color around these drill results. Obviously, again, big congratulations on some of those headline numbers there, and we'll look to catch up with you here when those Black Mammoth assays come back.
Awesome. I love it. Thank you. Thanks, Ian.
Absolutely. That is Zayn Kalyan, CEO of Scorpio Gold. They trade on the TSX Venture under the symbol SGN. The information presented should not be considered investment advice. Mining Stock Daily and its affiliates are not responsible for any loss arising from any investment decision in connection with the material presented herein. Please do your own research or speak with a licensed financial representative before making any investment decisions.